Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our next matchup for 173. In this one, we have our first title fight of the card and a super fight as well, as the current flyweight MMA champion Yuya Wakamatsu looks to defend his title against the current and three-time one strawweight champion Joshua Paco. We got champion versus champion, Japan versus the Philippines, and legacy versus ambition in this one. And this isn't just another title fight. This is a fight that could redefine what it means to be a two-division champion in one. Make no mistake about it, because Wakamatsu is going to be making his first title defense in his country after winning the belt at 173 against Adriano Moraes in their rematch via finish, mind you. Meanwhile, for Joshua Pico, who most recently defeated Jarrett Brooks at 172 in the trilogy, and now looks to be the first ever Filipino MMA fighter to be a two-division champion. So, like I said, make no mistake, stylistically, this is also a fantastic matchup. You've got Wakamatsu, one of the most explosive flyweights in the game, against a tactical genius in Paco, who is moving up from strawweight to chase history. So, give you some context on this. Wakamatsu finally captured one gold after years of grinding his way through one of the deepest divisions in the promotion. And note, flyweight in 1-1 championship is 135 pounds. And he's fought the who's who Wakamatsu, including Demetrius Johnson early in his career. And even though he lost via submission, it's Mighty Mouse, one of the GOATs. He's evolved greatly since then. So for him, this isn't just a title defense. It's more so about validation. He's defending his belt on home soil in Tokyo with the entire Japanese MMA scene behind him. So the pressure is real in this one. For Paco, the strawweight king of one is chasing greatness. He's already accomplished the most accomplished Filipino fighter in one history, but this move to flyweight is all about his legacy. And if he wins, as I said, he will be the first ever two-division Filipino world champion. So the stakes couldn't be higher. For Wakamatsu, it's about cementing his dominance. For Paco, it's about making history. So, without further ado, let me dive further into their style. For Wakamatsu, he's the nickname "the Little Piranha" is quite apropos. I think is how you would use that word. He's explosive, calculated, and deceptively patient. His entire style revolves around his timing, power, and composure. Wakamatsu doesn't waste energy. He doesn't throw wild combinations. Instead, he stalks, he studies his foes, and when he does see an opening, then he explodes. And of all of Wakamatsu's strikes, I would say his right hand is his most dangerous weapon, and maybe the most dangerous weapon in the flyweight division, as he sets it up with his feints, his half steps, and oftentimes lures his opponents into overextending, and then counter with a big right hand, and even does very well at aiming the right hand to the body as well. Now, defensively wise, in terms of his striking, Wakamatsu is pretty compact, solid head movement, tight guard, and very good footwork when retreating and or resetting. But what really stands out about Wakamatsu is mostly how much he's matured. Early in his career, he was pure aggression. Now he's selective aggression, and the kind that finishes fights without taking unnecessary risks. Kind of like how Justin Gaethje went through his career. We all know the story of Justin Gaethje when he started his UFC career, as well as when he was the champion in World Series of Fighting. He was a absolutely aggressive brawler, constant forward pressure, willing to take as much damage as possible to land even more damage on his opponents. But eventually that style cost him in important fights like against Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier in their first fight. So Gaethje started having calculated pressure, selective aggression, and started really picking his shots. And you saw how great of a success that had for Gaethje, eventually becoming interim champion. In many ways, it's kind of like for Wakamatsu. Now, Wakamatsu's knockout power translates in just about every exchange. Against someone coming up a weight class like Pacu, that is a serious X factor to think of, because Pacu's never fought anyone with the power of Wakamatsu. Now, for Paco himself, he's not just moving up a weight, he's moving up in opportunity. At strawweight, he was dominant because of his completeness, a perfect mixture of striking, grappling, and the fight IQ to blend it all together. As well, here's Pacu's represents the refined version of his gym team, Lakya. Intelligent pressure, improved wrestling, and measured striking. For Paco, he's got excellent movement, sharp kicks, and a disciplined approach for distance control. What makes him so effective, though, is how well he blends transitions, striking to takedowns, fading into clinch entries, and ground control into striking sequences. Of course, the big question is, how does that translate to flyweight? Because moving up means more power and less speed advantage and physically stronger opponents. But Baku himself has said the weight cut to strawweight has been brutal, and at flyweight he feels healthier, faster, more powerful. Now that could mean he's even more dangerous if the added mass doesn't slow him down. Of course, normally speaking, when a fighter moves up a weight class, it's going to be the lighter man's skill versus the overall bigger opponent, as usually the fighter who moves up a weight class will usually be the faster of the two and the more technical of the two. But considering we're talking about 125 pounds and 135 pounds, I don't know if it's going to be the lighter man's skill, as usually those two weight classes are neck and neck in terms of overall complete fighters, technique, fight IQ, and just masterful technicians. The only difference would be a flyweight moving up to bantamweight would be the speed. Now, stylistically, this fight is more so a test of rhythm and range. For Wakamatsu, he thrives when his opponents come to him, as he is a counterpuncher at heart and the kind of fighter who lures you into range and punishes you for overcommitting. For Paco, meanwhile, is more layered, as he'll mix levels, attack the legs, then the body, then shoot for a takedown or clinch to reset the distance. And in the striking department, Paku's output is going to be higher, but Wakamatsu's accuracy and impact per strike are definitely going to be greater. As I said, he's probably going to be the harder hitter of the two, and for sure the most powerful striker Paco's ever fought. On the ground, I would give it to Paco. As though Wakamatsu's takedown defense has improved drastically since his early losses to like DJ and Adriano Moraes, Paco is much the more complete fighter and has a vastly superior ground game, in my opinion. Now, what makes this matchup so interesting, though, is that both men are extremely disciplined. There's not much recklessness in either of their games, so it really will come down to who can impose their tempo. If it's fought in bursts, short, explosive movements, this is going to favor Wakamatsu. If it's fought over time with scrambles, feints, and multi-layer attacks, then that's Paku's world. Expect the early rounds to be a chess match. Both men will respect the other's power and patience in this fight for sure. As for the intangibles, and I really thought about for my breakdowns, really think about something I can't really think on a stat sheet, mental side, right? I think for Wakamatsu, this is going to have have the hometown advantage. This is going to be in Japan in front of his people, and similar to Takeru, that does bring energy, but that also does bring pressure. He knows he's expected to win. He knows Paku's coming in hungry, and that pressure can tighten your game, but it can also make you hesitant. Like I said, very similar to what Takeru's going through, in mentally speaking, but instead of coming off loss, we have a champion making his first title defense in his home crowd. While on the flip side, you have Paco making or chasing greatness. He's not a defending champion. None of that. He is a fighter. He's a fighter moving up in order to chase greatness and become, arguably the best MMA fighter in Filipino MMA history. Or shoot, who am I kidding? If he wins, he will be the best Filipino MMA fighter ever. Now, looking at their keys to victory in this one, for Wakamatsu, he's going to need to stay disciplined and patient in this fight. If he overcommits or try and chase for knockout, then I can see Pacu making him pay with good takedown entries and grappling. But considering how patient Wakamatsu is, I don't think he's going to make those too many mistakes. I think it comes down to his feints and being able to bait Paco into making sloppy entries, and well as making more telegraphed takedowns. For Paku, it's all about mixing up his mixed martial arts, leg kicks, level changes, body work, or use clever angles to get out of the way of the right hand of Wakamatsu. And an interesting way to put it is like make it a 5 round fight. Build momentum. Don't. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. The kind of Nate Diaz approach, right? You don't got to start absolutely crazy in the first round and fade as the fight goes on. You start kind of slow in the first round, but then you build up the momentum as the fight goes on. That's the best way to put it. Now, predicting this one is again very tricky, as these two are so skilled, and I think they're really neck and neck. So early on, I think both fighters are going to probably play it safe. Lots of feints, lots of read. The first few rounds, especially rounds 1 and 2, are going to be the most tactical and will probably give us an idea of who can set up the fight first. But my prediction, I'm going to go with Yuya Wakamatsu. Ultimately, I think the power is going to matter. And not to mention Wakamatsu's precision and explosiveness might just be too much for the newly bulked up Paku to handle. As not only is Paku moving up a weight class, it'll be the first time he's going to add muscle. So you really got to wonder how is this going to affect his speed. Now, of course, like I said, fighters who generally move up are the faster of the two, but that's not. And while that is typically what happens, that's not the general rule of fighters moving up a weight class. So it might not be to Paco's best advantage, and like I said, he might lose his speed advantage. And I honestly see Wakamatsu being able to catch Paku coming in, maybe it's his right hand or even a counter left hook, and close the show. Paku will have moments, no question, and he's too good not to. But over 25 minutes, I just think Wakamatsu's timing, power, and composure in the pocket are going to give him the edge in this fight. So once again, for my official prediction, I'm going to go with Yuya Wakamatsu. I'm going to pick him via knockout. But with that being said, that's been my prediction of this fight. If you like the video, comment and subscribe. More specifically, let me know in the comments if you like this new way I'm trying of breaking down my fights. And especially let me know if you like the old way I was predicting fights, or if you like this new way, because I'll be honest, I kind of like this new way. I feel like I'm better at giving overall better details and kind of talking about more X factors in the fight, like the mental side of it. But like I said, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Next up, we will have Christian Lee taking on Albayas Ruvalov. But with that being said, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. I thank you all for listening. Take care.